welcome to Laughing
Welcome.
Death, Moments of Mortality, normally with 3 death doulas, but Lacy is traveling. So it'll just be me, one of your hosts, Taylor Bell, joined by.
Kyra.
And Kyra actually busted out her, is it death deck?
It is the death deck. The death
Okay, so
deck.
she's going to ask a question to get us started before we get into it.
Okay, I just picked one off the top and it's multiple choice, not ABC question. While you're on vacation, someone close to you dies. You, A, want to know immediately. B, would rather not know until you got back. Or C, whatever the people back home decide is fine with me.
Ooh. Do you have an instant answer?
Yeah.
I do too. I think I'm gonna go with. I think we're gonna go with C. Whatever the
Okay.
people back home think.
Okay.
Yeah. What's
I think
yours?
I would want to know immediately.
Yeah, that was my first thing.
It's hard because you're on vacation and like depending on what part of the vacation you're on,
Or
right?
how
Like if
far away?
right. So if there was like I mean, but I think that and then if they're already dead, then it's
Mm-hmm.
different than if they were dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they were dying, I guess there would be definitely like an immediate sort of want to know so that I could be there if I could.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
guess
also, like, is this sudden death or expected death?
right.
Very different. Like, if it were like we knew they were getting close to the end, I went on a trip oh, well, this happened with my Oma when we were in Biloxi.
Right.
But it was okay, and they let me know. But yeah, if it was anyway, it's a complicated question. But I would trust people in my life to calibrate what would make the most sense. But yeah, but you would want to know.
I think so, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like because then it would give me the opportunity to like kind of stop what I'm doing and maybe like sit with that and be in that
Hmm.
space, you know? Yeah, there's something to that for me, for sure.
Yeah, and that was where my mind went when I thought about going with A, your choice,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, just like I would want to, even if I wasn't leaving immediately, I would
Mm-hmm.
want to energetically like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where am I? Can I go light a candle? Do I go on a walk? Do I
Yeah, yeah,
go dance
yeah.
for them? Like, what am I going to do to like
Right,
do the thing?
right.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So what we're talking about today is missing pieces in death work. For me, it was putting together a flyer for a hospice to give to their nurses so that they could give to people. And I was interchanging the word death with end of life, like death planning, end of life planning, so on and so forth. And I don't know when it struck me of like, wait, that's not the that's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it probably was our mutual friend who her mom her mom was dying and has since died, but she texted me about it and said how her mom had long-term care insurance, and
Mm-hmm.
that also just kind of opened my mind of like I've never even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
And how and now too with experiences I'm having with my dad where we're not so much focused on like big bucket list trips or anything like that anymore, but he's also not at death's doorstep. He's in
Mm-hmm.
the end of life, and that's a whole thing. It's very interesting to me that just now I'm really having this light bulb moment of
Mm-hmm.
and it does change when you're in real time, like I said with my dad, seeing that, oh, we're in this phase, we're in this long-term care place now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, just meeting that time, and how a lot of times that's not talked about. It's like live your life to your fullest and then have a death plan. It's like, ooh,
Right.
but there's
Right.
this thing in the middle, and
Right.
it needs to be talked about. And especially not to mention that, I mean, for me, it's also really hitting because I'm an only child. I do not have children. And not to say siblings and children will always be around to take care at the end, but there's a higher potential for that to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So, people who don't have family or chosen family to support them as they age, or don't have the financial resources,
Mm-hmm.
which certainly I don't have that either, to like just not worry about it. So it's me seeing this for myself too, of like, oh, that might be something I need to look at, like in my next decade, of how am I setting myself up
Mm-hmm.
to have the best end of life experience that I can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's I feel like, we're in this privileged position, so to speak, because we have so much information from our research and, studies and all of that, to kind of put those pieces in place and not shy away from or put it off even, right? Yeah. I think, yeah, I just keep thinking about the fact that, oh yeah, well, because like in later in life, we're going to be living,
Well, yeah, we'll be together.
and we're dying hand in hand.
Yeah, at the
So
same time, and then we'll just ascend. That's
I
our
mean,
plan.
just so everybody knows, that's the plan.
Put it in
There's
my
going to be
binder.
a joint celebration, a joint
Yeah.
party,
With the banner that says, "And they were never seen again."
never seen again.
So good.
I
Such a good
know
plan.
it really truly would be such a remarkable way to leave this earthly life.
100%. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and to that point of that sort of this in between period, if you're so kind of blessed to be able to age, right, and get older and be in old age and be an elder, there are lots of different things to consider within that, and you don't want to get caught in this place of like, oh crap, I need to make a decision right now and that I didn't think about prior to this moment, because the fact of the matter is, most people aren't able to age in place,
Hmm.
they without some sort of assistance. And then what does that look like, and making sure that that's lined up for you, or if you do go to an assisted living facility or a nursing home, knowing the good ones in your area, like having conversations with people, because they're not all the same. And, I mean, the care ranges for sure. And there's just so much to it,
Hmm.
that I think that a lot of the time people will maybe just think like, oh, well, that's like a future me conversation. And we know that anything can happen that can put us in a situation where we have to make a decision very quickly, and you want to have all the information in place to make those decisions.
Absolutely. Yes. Yep.
That kind of reminds me. So I just did a workshop at an assisted living facility, and it was wonderful. It was so great. It was pre-planning. And I called it holistic pre-planning. So we
Hmm.
did the logistical piece of the conversation, like the paperwork that everyone knows about, advanced directives, wills, medical power of attorney. And then I touched on the sacred and the ritual piece of it. So legacy work and the perfect deathbed, and, things like that to consider. And it was a really, really wonderful and rich conversation, as they tend to always be.
Yep.
But interestingly, I had a couple of residents from the facility who came, and then I also had some family members that were there. And the family members, they all three of them sat down and said, "Oh no, this isn't for me. This is for my parent who lives here." And I was like, "Okay, yes, and I would encourage you to think about this, for yourself as well. Just
Hmm.
maybe. Um, and by the end of it, truly, they all said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about things differently." For myself too now, which is great. I mean, it's what I think that's the goal for these conversations, is to have people actively thinking about these things, and not just thinking, "Oh, well, this is for my ailing, aging, much older parent. I know I'm
Hmm.
in my, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so I'm not really close to that. I don't need to think about that right now.
Yeah, my God, yes, that's a huge missing piece. And I know we've talked about this a lot but it bears repeating every single time. The missing piece, and I don't want to overemphasize paperwork because there's so much to talk about with like the heart-centered work and the sacred when we're looking at death work. And like to your point, I recently had a call with somebody who reached out about wanting to support their mom who was on hospice. And between the time they reached out to me and we actually were able to get on the call, their parent had gone into a coma. And their parent had none of their paperwork done. So the spouse was making decisions that the person I was talking to, the daughter, did not agree with. And when she was like, my mom would never want this. Like it was like being kept alive and all that, and it's just, it sucks so bad because there's nothing to do. I mean, there are things to do. You can go to a probate court and get a court order to,
Right.
and it's just, and there's just so much heartache from just not having these things done. And she was great. She had bought actually our binder. I was like, okay, so now I'm going to pivot and I'm going to talk to my dad about the stuff in the binder. And I was like, that's great. And answer it for yourself. Like, don't forget about yourself. And just to your point, because people tend to think in for her in real time, like, oh my gosh, this is happening with my mom. This is awful, heartbreaking. This is not what she would want. But let me pivot to my dad. And that's great. But then also like anything could happen at any time. And I hope people just start to see, like it did at the workshop you offered, like, oh, right, this is something everybody needs because it can save so much pain in the long run.
And, I'm thinking, so within the conversation that she has with her dad, maybe there's going to be a light bulb moment for him, in
That
recognizing.
100%, right? Yes. Yeah, that's what I told her. I was like, I think it's really wise to go over these things for him. But in the way these things are laid out, be it, reading through what it means to be a medical power of attorney or what these certain medical decisions, he may start to put together choices he's making for your mom that he may not want the choices he's making for her. Right. And so these light bulb moments may happen.
I think also, there's a lot to be said. You and I talk about these little speaking engagements or workshops or things that we become a part of. And there's always this, there are these feelings that come up beforehand, right? For me, I'll speak to, okay, do I know enough? Like, am I going to be able to answer the questions? What, like, am I going to come off the way that I want to come off in this? And the fact of the matter is that these conversations like lead themselves, honestly, and people are craving them way more than what I think that they are willing to acknowledge. And I think that it really, once when we have these conversations and afterwards, I don't know about you, but it's almost like I feel I'm on a high, like I'm excited and want to have more of them. Like, okay, where's the next one? Because we know how valuable these pieces are. And even, one of the residents, she's 92. And she was talking about how she has all of the logistical pieces in place. And she just wants to make sure that she's covering everything so that it's as easy as possible for her family. And so that they have the time to focus on what's most important and not be thinking about these little details. And I'm like, that is exactly it. That's what we're trying to do here, because all of those, you talk about paperwork. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I mean,
we've done it. We know it is.
Exactly. And it's heavy work, and maybe not for everybody. Maybe, it's lighter for some. Surely that's the case, but it's necessary. It's always necessary. And the more you do, the more clarity you bring to what you want, the more of an opportunity that you have to have like a just better experience and help with like the cultural shift of it all,
Yes. Well, it just becomes like I get so excited when when these conversations happen and it becomes as casual as talking about I don't just anything. Like,
Anything. Yeah.
what food you're eating these days, or
Yeah.
what shows you're watching, or whatever it is. Also, like, oh, have you looked into long-term care insurance? Or, oh, have you
Hmm.
thought about, are you going to donate your body, or do you think you're going to, like, these kinds of conversations? Because when you do look at like legal paperwork type stuff, and also like ceremony, be it a funeral or spreading of ashes or whatever, somebody wants to do, it does. It's like, oh, there's all these options. And like,
Hmm.
what do I think about that? And it just naturally fosters more conversation with people in your life, and kind of brings them into the fold. And that gets me really excited, because that's, I think, a big piece of this is for people
Hmm.
to just like casually talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. The potential like also the fact that to consider the thought, because again, you and I and people who work within the death world, they know that there's more information out there than what I think people kind of like come pre programmed with. We go into life, and I think the vast majority of people um, think about, okay, well, when you die, you're either buried or you're cremated. And we know that there are other options. There are
Mhm.
more environmentally friendly options. There are more things that you can consider that could maybe alleviate some of the financial burden at the end of life. There's just more pieces to the puzzle that, again, can, if you have like control over those little controllables in a way,
Mhm.
it's almost like creature comforts.
Yeah.
It's, you're thinking about the things that are valuable to you, and so then that's informing every piece of your life, including your death, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I want to say that I mentioned body disposition and different forms of that, because at the workshop, when I talked about body disposition, people knowing really just burial and cremation, I was like, did you know though that you have a green burial option? And, in many states now, we've got body composting as an option. And there's other things that are kind of coming up that are just keeping in mind kind of the natural way the body goes at the end, right? And that these things could really just sort of change the way you're viewing that last bit. And you don't have to do all of the stuff, like, you don't have to be embalmed if you don't want to
Hmm.
be, just those little itty bitty pieces and details that you have a choice over, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes. And if you
Yeah.
don't make that choice, you're forcing somebody else to make that choice for you, which can be very emotionally taxing.
Gosh,
So it's
absolutely.
nice to just, or like, you may, in the case of the person I spoke to recently, like, you may know the choice the person wants, but the person who legally gets to make that choice makes another one.
Right.
So, it just, yeah,
Right.
whatever, like you said, whatever little controllables that we can like have choice over and control. I mean, my gosh, yes, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something else you mentioned, just like, yeah, talking to different groups and demographics. I am going to talk to, here in Texas, the UNT Health Science Center. And that is so exciting to me, because I think that's, not to say this to nauseum, but it is another missing piece, which is just getting in front of medical students and
Mhm.
talking about what we do that is
Mhm.
not medical, not legal, not therapeutic, professional, but we're there to remind everybody it's a sacred experience, and that, like,
Mhm.
there are things that they can choose and there are controllables. Just doing that, I think, is a way for us in the death work world to affect some larger change, is just to put that out there, so those in the medical professional realize, oh, there are people out there that are doing work to help remind us that, like, death is not actually a medical event,
Right.
and it is okay, and it can be supported. and it can be as sacred as you want it to be. And that's something that definitely needs to be brought back in, especially here in the US.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think recently listened to an interview. Barbara Carnes was interviewed on it was another podcast. I think she's interviewed all the time, but
she is. I think she is. She should be.
Yeah, right. She had mentioned that, at some point in our life journey, uh, it has to change hands from like the medical team to like the death team, right? And the medical, in hospitals and in our current day system, you go to a hospital, they're not looking to support you in your death necessarily, right? Like they're trying to keep you alive at all costs. Like that is what they're doing. And so when you get to go and talk to nursing students, and when we have those opportunities to connect with medical professionals, then we can you're shedding a light. We're shedding a light on the fact that we exist and that we can coexist, and that we're here to help one another within this, and yeah, I mean, it just demystifying it and allowing for people to recognize the validity of it too,
Yes.
I did want to say, when you were saying you were to clarify that we're non-medical, you said not legal, but like we are legal, but I know what you mean.
We're operating illegally, whatever. Anyway, we're not legal counsel. Let me go back and just add that in. That's really funny.
I think that this is definitely one of many, just kind of going back to the missing pieces. I think that we could honestly do multiple episodes around missing pieces, and not so much to point a finger at and to, put blame on or shame or anything like that, right? We don't do that. It's really truly just to bring light to the fact that there are so many gaps. Unfortunately, they just do exist. And we need to be able to see them and speak about them so that we can help like close those gaps a little bit and create more comfort for everybody. And like that's the whole point, right? But I think it is so important, and we'll say it till the day we die on our deathbed, like pre-planning paperwork is just, you need to know this. You want to do this not only for yourself. You want to not have your family and loved ones have to make all of these decisions. They can just open up a book and be like, this is what she wanted.
Yeah. Well, because also like grief is sacred, and when people can't do that, I mean, this is the whole reason I got into this, is because I could properly grieve my mom because she had her shit together.
Yes, she did.
And like it was just, oh yeah, I'm going to be profoundly sad. How wonderful that I can do this. And so that's the thing. Yeah, we're not interested in like shaming people or pressuring people.
Maybe it's like just a little bit.
Maybe a little, because we know what a difference it makes, and we know from personal experience that if we were to be incapacitated tomorrow, or if we were to die tomorrow, like there's a binder that our people can get, and it's here we go. And that just really is a peace of mind. And that's the thing too that it comes back to, is like as we create community and we talk about it, like we can't all know everything, and so it's in talking about it that we see these blind spots or these missing pieces, and that's the whole thing. It's like we all do it together.
Yeah.
I also feel like this episode's supposed to end with the Judd's "Love Can Build a Bridge." If I could just
put it on. I wonder if
oh, are you pulling it up on your phone?
I could be.
All your hopes are sinking. Let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge.
Get that pre-planning done.
In your heart and mind.
Give that gift to your family.
Oh my God. This is going to show up on like a cringe short, you know? They'd be like, what are these people doing?
Don't you think it's time to get your plans together? I'm just saying. Oh my God.
Just saying. That was so good.
That was so good. I love you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I love you so much. I'll talk to you real soon.
Okay. Goodbye.
All right. Bye.
That was good.